Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Welcome back to Y Space for the youth and by the youth. And today we have an exciting episode. As you all are aware that August is Women's Month, and today we brought a successful, goal-driven, smart, beautiful woman to come and address certain issues, talk about her journey, herself, tell us about matters that need to be addressed basically. So today we have Larissa. She's our board member, she's a chairperson. I just give her an opportunity to tell us about herself, because even I wanted to say your surname, I can't pronounce it, so I didn't want to ruin it. So she's going to explain who she is, what she does. You're just going to tell her about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? I've explained that she's very goal-driven. She's going to tell us about your journey. Yes.
Thanks so much. I'm really great. Really pleased to be here. This is my first time on Y.
Y Space.
Y Space, yeah.
Yes,
so it's quite
your
exciting.
space.
It's quite exciting to be here, and thanks very much for having me. And particularly on Women's Month,
Yes.
I think it's quite an important aspect or issue to address.
Yes.
So yes, I'm Larissa Scharneck. I am the board member of the YMCA Nelson Mandela Bay And I'm a business owner. I've had my business events crafted for the last 8 years. So that's quite exciting,
Yes.
but not without any trials and tribulations, given the economy that we're in. And I think that's what it is. I come from different spaces. I come from the corporate world. I've been in retail from 6th Avenue shopping days. I was part of the opening team at the Boardwalk. I moved to Alcoa with Emma Regional Radio Station. I've been a trade marketer. I've been an event seller at Angelic Wonders many moons ago. And now I have my own business. So it has been quite a journey.
Wow.
An exciting one.
Yes. And oh my God, I think I just got so overwhelmed because what do you mean you were able to do all of those things and you were able to achieve them?
When it happens, you kind of don't think about it.
Yes.
It's just one of those things that kind of flow into one another.
Yes.
But I think as you reflect, and I've also learned that reflection is important,
Yes.
because once you do that, you realize what you've accomplished and what you've done.
Yes.
So I always think about, people often say, oh no, how do you do it, because I have 3 sons, so I'm the only woman in the home.
Oh.
So that too is often a challenge, and only upon reflection do you realize what you've accomplished.
Yes.
And I'm always so grateful for what I have accomplished. I think it's quite important that we recognize our accomplishments and celebrate them.
Yes.
But also that we surround ourselves with strong women that support us.
Clock that.
Absolutely, that's so important.
Yes.
Especially in today's age where we are influenced by social media, by fake things that are not real, that don't portray women as real beings. So I think if you have, no matter how small that unit is that you surround yourself with, I think that's important to keep you grounded.
Yes.
And to keep you sane.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. I don't know. I think you're just inspiring a whole lot of women out there. I know that a lot of women think that they can't achieve certain things, but because maybe they've heard that you were able to achieve all of this, you are the only woman. You have 3 sons, so you still have work that you need to do, and you still have to go back home and be a mother.
Yes.
That's a lot. I hope you guys are listening because we're still gonna unpack a whole lot of stuff. So this year, when I searched this year's theme, it talks about building resilient economies for all. What does that theme mean for you? And how do you think it includes women?
Sure. I think it's quite. I said to you when we started at the Chairperson, you you have a heavy topic, resilient economies, especially in a time where our economy, not only locally but globally, is in a disaster space, And I think that resilient economies mean that we have to be able to be flexible.
Yes.
It probably throws us back into COVID times when all of a sudden we had things, and then the next day we had nothing. And I think it's a matter of how we can be agile in the environment that we're in, which is important. And often words are easier. It's a saying, easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I think I lean on very much so, if you look at the woman that Proverbs explains,
Yes.
how we can change, how we can be given something small and multiply that naturally.
Yes.
Our role of women, not only in our homes, but in society. Before we even have families, who trains us in the way that we should go.
Yes.
So it's a combination of things, I believe. I think it's a case of being agile enough to switch when things are low, when you think you don't have enough,
yes.
and having the ability to stretch it.
Yes.
I think in a culture, women naturally do that,
Yes.
You have 3 people in the home and suddenly your child brings somebody that hasn't eaten for 2 days, and yet you make that work even though you don't have enough.
Yes.
And I think that's the essence for women is in resilient economies, making something of the little that
you have.
We've been given, yes.
And I've also, I've come across certain women who've done that. And when you listen to their stories, they'll tell you that you have to be strong at some point. Sometimes you don't have a choice. I think it's really painful that most women feel like they don't have a choice but to do it. And it brings me to the fact that women are facing a lot of challenges. How do we then help them to be able to overcome them?
I think supporting women financially and not giving handouts, I'm talking about, as opposed to going to Checkers, buy from the lady that's selling nuts on the side of the road, support that lady that's selling avocados at the robots, because as opposed to doing something illegal, she's standing there trying to make a living, I also think that it's supporting kids at school. I do youth leadership programs at some of the schools in the area here, and in Shoreville and in Hillside, and it's just a matter of listening to them.
Yes.
Sometimes assistance is not giving something, but giving support in the form of mentorship, in the form of just giving a listening ear, because those are often the things that women need the most.
Yes.
Is not. I don't need you to give me advice. I just need somebody to listen to.
Yes.
And just I think letting it out is part of the process.
Yes.
So absolutely support women businesses. I think lend and helping hand. I think, but most importantly, to be kind to one another. We live in a very you're judged by so many things. You're judged by things that are not real, and then you're shocked when you see, oh wow, this person actually doesn't look like this in real life. So I think we just need to keep it real.
Keep it real.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Be kind.
And while you're still talking about keeping it real and being kind, I'm taken back to the fact that my grandmother, ever since I was a child, I think even before I was born, she sells on the street. Like she would sell fruits, she would sell apples, and she made sure that she comes back with money.
Yes.
Like all the time, she would always tell us that the reason why I have to go is that when you go to school tomorrow, I have to make sure that you have some pocket money, you have a lunchbox. Of which it's really amazing. It's really amazing how strong women are, and they're able to keep it together. I can imagine how a mother at home, there's no support, there's no father, let me just say she's the only dependent.
Yes.
The kids are depending on her, and then now she has to go out and try and find this money. Because I do realize that sometimes we judge women for what they do without knowing the full story.
Absolutely.
Yes, they try by all means to make sure that kids eat, they go to school, they do everything, like they try and show up. But then the judging part is just really, oh sorry, that's why. That's why.
See, that's my son. Dependent on me.
He already needs his mother. Okay, so yes, I was still saying that it's really important that we support and we also lend an ear, just listen to the other person. Because even us as young girls, I mean, I'll just call myself a girl. Yeah, I'm just a girl. Yes, even I myself as a young girl, I do go through certain things.
Yeah.
And certain things that I go through as a young person, they might affect the woman that I become.
Absolutely.
So, what advices can maybe you give to young girls that you think can better help them to become better women? Yeah, I got you.
you know what it is. I think it's because I'm surrounded by strong women. I'm surrounded by amazing women, and that helps me a lot. You know,
Yes.
and it's not a case that we have to talk every day, but there is a space where we can go. And sometimes this doesn't need to be talking. You know, we
Yes.
spoke about having a lending, an ear to listen to.
Yes.
But I think it's also that you need to know yourself more than anything else. I think to the young women out there today is that you're trying to emulate a lot of things that you see on TV,
Yes.
that you see on social media, you know, that aren't real. You know, influences that actually are not good influences.
Yes,
you know, there's so much.
A lot of pressure.
Absolutely, it's put so much pressure on you to be a certain way, to act a certain way, to talk a certain way, to be with certain kinds of people.
Yes.
And I think that's where some we get lost along the way.
Yeah.
So I think my advice would be is that you know deep down inside who you are.
Okay.
You know when you are in difficult situations.
Yes.
And I tell my kids this, and yes, they boys, but I suppose it applies even more to girls than ever, is that when you have to make a decision or when you find yourself in a situation, there's that feeling in your gut
That tells you.
that's there to protect you.
Yes, that's true.
It's so easy, listen to it.
Yo.
And I think, and that's the hardest thing, is that sometimes when we don't listen to that voice, months later, we have the consequences. And I say that, even me now, you know. And I say that because then you say to yourself, I should have listened to my gut. And I believe that it's there to protect you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And you smile at me because you know exactly what I'm doing. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? I always say to everybody, listen to that feeling, you know.
That tells you.
That tells you. Inside it tells you. And it sometimes it even manifests in a feeling, it manifests in a shake, it manifests in a trembling, you know, in sweaty hands. But if you listen to that, that's the thing that protects you. That's the thing that keeps you true to yourself.
To yourself.
Yeah.
You touched now a very, very deep one. Because I think we tend to ignore this feeling that tells you you're in the wrong place.
Yes.
Like move away from that place.
Yes.
Like when you sometimes it happens that I can plan that I'm going out with my friends, and then maybe there are kind of like things that are not really allowing me to go out. Like I'm having like certain problems.
Yes.
I lost transport money, I lost this and that.
Yes.
Those are the early signs.
Yes.
Okay, I can force and try and say, I'm going. I'll borrow money from a friend, and they give me money. And then when I get there, I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like my usual self. I feel like, and then it becomes worse when you start trembling.
Yes.
Like, that's when you know that, oh my God, like.
Because now your alarm bells are going off.
And
you know
what I mean? Sweating.
Yes.
Oh, I so wish we can just listen to that. Because years later, or months later, you start regretting
Yeah.
the choices that you made.
Sometimes even the next day, you know,
Yes.
you know, especially if you when you go out, you know, or if you're in a situation, and you even get that feeling when you talk to some people sometimes, you know.
Yes.
So I think that's my go-to advice, and not only for girls, for boys as well, you know.
Yes.
And my other advice is that if they make you feel bad, they're not your friend.
That's true. Hope you got that.
If they make you feel bad, they are not your friend. You know?
Yes.
Because if they were your friends, they would not make you feel bad.
Yes.
They would not leave you wherever they left you.
Yes.
They would consider you.
Oh my
You know?
goodness.
There's so many times that I've seen, I love to dance, so I go out all the time.
Yes.
And I often see girls, young women, I should say young women,
Yes.
that kind of just leave their friends, you know.
Yes.
And I think, but how could you do that?
You can't.
You know, there were 4 of you that came together. Why are 3 of you going alone? Why is your friend standing in the corner?
Exactly.
You know. So I think we need to protect each other.
Yes.
There's so many bad things that happen to women and to girls lately. Is that if we don't stand together, you know, then we've got a problem.
Yes, because now we're breaking each other.
Correct.
Like, okay, imagine how it would be if we as women ourselves were to support each other, listen to each other, help each other, and build each other instead of just breaking each other apart.
Exactly. Imagine how much power we would have.
Exactly.
You know.
We would be leading the country.
Yeah. Imagine how much power. So I think.
I mean, maybe that's why we're not even allowed to say certain things or have certain opinions, because we ourselves sometimes we become against each other, and it's really painful that you get broken by another woman who you're supposed to be helping each other, lifting up each other.
Absolutely.
Yes. So moving on to maybe the next topic, I need a success story or an inspiration of an impact of a successful of women's economic empowerment.
There's so many.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can. I can give you 2, 3. 2, 3.
Okay, so often I think that it's not, when we talk about success, people often link that to having a bigger house, having a bigger car, you know, having designer clothing. I think that success needs to be defined by yourself. I think it needs to be that you're in a place of comfort.
Yes.
So I don't think we should overextend ourselves financially in order to be successful. I always say, you don't need to show that you have money. You can just have money. You can just have money.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to have.
You don't have to.
You don't need what Steve Manson decades. You know, the ones at the normal shop's fine.
Yeah, Mr. Price.
You know.
Yeah.
You don't need even the Woolies ones are fine, but we don't need to be spending that kind of money.
Yes. Yes.
So I think when you have goals that you set yourself,
yes.
that can look like success. So, and I draw inspiration. So I have, like I said to you before, I have strong women in my circle. And I think one of the people that really inspire me is a friend of mine.
Yes.
It's actually my husband's cousin, and she's a HR executive. She's just recently moved to Cape Town.
Yes.
She's quite a driven woman. She's made huge impact in the corporate world. And yes, she doesn't have her own business, but the impact that she's made in different companies that she's been at have left a legacy, you know.
Yes.
However, she's also empowered herself, you know. She has given herself goals to educate herself, and not through massive degrees, you know. We're talking just doing simple short courses, you know. And yes, she has a master's degree, but not everybody can do that. And you don't have to, but if you educate yourself, okay, you can sit around those room tables, you know. I think that often women diminish themselves in thinking that they don't belong at the table. I was at a talk a couple of weeks ago, and it said, just because they have more money than you doesn't mean that they're smarter.
Ooh.
No matter which boardroom you're around,
Yeah.
you're going to still find the crazy person that doesn't know what's going on.
Yes.
That is there by default because he was in the right room or his dad knows something,
Yes.
you know. So no matter what class or where you are in your life, in what stage or what financial standing you're in,
Yes.
if you listen, you'll fit in.
Yeah.
You'll have a voice.
Yes.
You know, so it goes back to being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think always my mother inspires me as well, you know. My mother is also one of those people, I think she comes from a family that there's lots of learning, you know.
Yes.
I mean, my mom, she's been retired, she's 72, and she's been retired for quite some time, but she planned it, you know.
Yes.
So she did medical technology, then she did rubber technology, then she did analytical chemistry. So
Yes.
I always remember her that even though we were put to bed at 8 o'clock, because that was the norm back then,
Yes.
is that she sat in the study and studied in the evening, you know.
Really?
And she came from a mom and a dad, my grandparents, that were not highly educated,
Yes.
but they were readers, you know. And they instilled that no matter what you did, you could still empower yourself.
Yes, that's true.
So I think that's exactly it. You know,
Yeah.
and when she retired, and she still does today, there's always community work that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a hand to help. There's always a group to uplift.
Yes.
So I think I draw inspiration from her as well. And then obviously sometimes I amaze myself.
I wanted to ask, like, why are you not
No,
mentioning yourself?
but that's the thing. You know, I spoke earlier on about reminding yourself and like thinking about things that you've done.
Yes.
You know, and I'm doing a development, like an incubation development course at the moment. And my friend says, you're always going on these things. And I said, well, I said, you know what it is? You don't know what you don't know. You know?
Okay.
So yes, you've had this business for 8 years, but I always say, but 2 years of that was COVID. You know? Surprised that I'm still around as a business after that.
And you're still
Many people kind of collapsed after that. But it goes back to that resilience again, you know. And so you just kind of, you pick yourself up, you know, I'm bruised and battered, and you heal and you get up again.
Yes.
So I think sometimes, and often, I should do this more often, but sometimes when you sit back and you think, oh wow,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
pat yourself on the back,
I did that.
pat yourself.
Girl, I did
You
that.
know, I think we have to do that for ourselves. It goes, So I think I pull inspiration from lots of people.
Yes.
And I think more importantly, also from young people. You know, often there's a tendency for people that are older to dismiss young people. I believe that they inspire you because they have so much curiosity.
Yes.
And I think I pull inspiration from curious people.
Yeah.
When you're curious, there's always something to learn. There's always new things that you need. Yeah. So from lots of different things I pull inspiration. That I find inspiration.
That's amazing. I mean, looking at mentioning your mom, mentioning yourself, your friend. That means the women that are around you already are inspiration to you. They are the women who make sure that let's empower each other.
Yes.
Just do this. You're doing great. You know, I think it's also important when you might pat yourself in the back, you might get up and do certain things, but sometimes you just need that, you're doing great.
Yes.
You're doing amazing. Like,
Yes.
keep going. I mean, you did mention that you faced certain challenges when you started, especially because you play events. You faced certain challenges. Do you mind telling us what those challenges were?
Oh,
maybe
so
maybe you can also touch on how did you overcome them?
So there's lots of different ones. You know, when I started my business, remember I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing. I had no office. I had a laptop and I had a dream, and I was going to do this. You know, and I had a set of values that I was going to do certain things. That wasn't how I was going to do business. But fortunately, I had a good network of people You know, I had a good name in the industry, if you can call it that.
Yes.
And I think partly because of who or the industries that I've worked in.
Yes.
So I think it was important for me, even not knowing that I was going to open my business, that when you are in career spaces, is that you don't burn any bridges. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Because you never know. You're going to have to turn back and you're going to have to hold on to that bridge or the little plankies that
and if you burnt it, then there's no going
There's
back.
no going back, you know. So I think that was one of the things. I was also, even though often you thought you had an idea of what business was going to be like,
Yes.
until you have to do it alone, you know. Remember, you have to be the marketer, you have to be the financer, you have to be the salesperson, you have to be all of these things, and you have to still be the smiling face behind the brand you're trying to create. So I threw myself into learning, you know. So yes, I had all this experience with all these different industries, but I had to learn about being a business person.
Yes.
And I think putting yourself into the right spaces was quite important.
Did you do any business course?
Yeah. So I did stuff online. I joined the business chamber. There was a program.
Yes.
I went to CEDA, ECDC. You know, so all of those things. I went to networking functions. You know, you need to get yourself out there. I think that's quite important. And of course COVID hit, and then it was like, oh no. But because I had a lean business, I didn't have anything that actually made you survive. You know.
Yes.
Often people think that when you have a business, all the money that you make it now becomes yours. You know?
Yeah.
Leave that money there. You know. I think that was one of the things that I've learned. I'd never forget when it was announced that we're going to be in lockdown. The first thing I went to, I took a page and I wrote down, I knew exactly how much money I had.
Yes.
And 3 months, and I was like, don't worry guys, we're going to be okay. You know,
We're sorted.
we're going to be okay. And little did I know that it was going to last for 2 years. You know, so yes, so that was the thing. So they say always have a 3-month backup. But you know, when you have something massive happen like COVID, you know, it becomes a different story. And then of course it was when we could start operating again as an events industry. I got my first massive job and I was so excited. And the bank, very excited with my PO, purchase order, I got a great job. And the bank said no, and I was like, you know, like surprised, like how could you say no to me? I'm compliant, you know.
Yes.
And it was the strangest thing because the bank needed me to have proof that I'm operational, which I was.
Yes.
But it was illegal for me to operate. Because remember, we couldn't operate during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So in my brain, it was like, you're not making any sense to me because you say operate, we couldn't operate by law.
By law, yes.
And then I come with a purchase order, I'm fully compliant, and you tell me no, you know.
Yes.
So then it was kind of very, you know, what do you do now? So it becomes, so that's when it starts becoming tricky because now you're securing all of this work, but you don't have finance. And I think that's one of the biggest things in business is that cash is always king. And access to finance is so important.
Cash is always king.
Cash is always king. You always have to have cash on hand.
Yes.
You know? And I think that's not only for women entrepreneurs, but I think for everybody.
Yes.
Is that, yes, you can secure that job,
Yes.
but you have to be able to pay for it. And that's the trick.
Yes.
So fortunately, I had an angel, we'll call him the angel funder, that could lend me the money, you know, that to do the job.
Yes.
And then that's a hard lesson that you have to learn is that the money that you use for work is not your money. There has to be money in the business.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that you need to do, something that I had to overcome.
Yes.
And know this is that happens, it still happens to me.
Yes.
You know. So the more sales you drive, the more money you need. But in the same breath, your money started with a different client. So you literally have to keep it rolling.
Yes.
You know. And I suppose we think that it's not in big business, but it possibly could be. But I think that's one of the challenges that you always will have to overcome.
Yes.
I think the way that I often try to overcome that challenge is to always be compliant. You know, tax clearance, pay the tax man no matter what. you know.
Yes, you have to.
I think that's lots of people, you know, they can do the work and they're not compliant. That means that they're not going to get the work.
Yes.
So having all your documents in order, that's a must for me, you know.
Yes.
I would not pay myself if I'm not compliant. That's one of the priorities that I have as a business, is
Yes.
that always be compliant, because it's easy to get kicked out the door if you're not.
If you're not, yes.
Another thing, that celebrate the wins that you have.
Yes.
We forget to celebrate ourselves, and we become disgruntled when we don't. You know, we work really hard all the time, and then we have to give it away constantly. You know, so take some time, you know, just to celebrate. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It can be something very small, but celebrate yourself.
Yes.
I think that always keeps you going. I think also sometimes we look to motivation to keep us going, but I think it's discipline. And I think we have to, I pray, you know, please Lord, give me the spirit of discipline. You know, give me the spirit of self-control.
Yes.
I think that's quite important as well, because it's easy not to do it, especially when you work for yourself. You know, it's easy not to do something.
Yeah.
It becomes so easy. But I think every day as a business owner is a challenge, you know.
Okay.
No matter how big or how small your business is.
Yes, that's true.
But I think it's just that you have mechanisms, or you put things in place that alleviate the depth of the issue, if that makes any sense.
Yes, yes.
So it becomes part of the course, you know.
Yeah.
Or you learn to think ahead. Like you know this is coming. You know,
so you
and I
need
think
to prepare for it.
you know it's coming, so let's prepare and let's plan for it.
Yes.
And I think especially women nowadays is save a little bit of money. You know,
in this
there's
economy,
all over Instagram, there's always a thing.
you have to
just save a little bit of money. You know, I laugh at there's a meme, or I don't know what you call it on Instagram, that says, you know, a crackhead's not going to wake up today and say I'm broke.
Yeah.
To look for a hit. They're going to make a plan to get a hit. You know, don't let the crackhead beat you. You know. And then I think to myself, shit, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have money, but I'm not going to let the crackhead beat me. You know. So you get it and you do it anyway. You know, be better than the crackhead looking for the hit.
You need to keep going.
You need to go. Yeah. You need to keep going.
Oh, that's really amazing. I mean, it's very inspiring to hear that despite all the challenges that you went through, you were able to overcome them. You were able to say, okay, 1 and 2 is happening. What's next? What do we do from here? And you were able to move forward. Look where you are right now. And while you were talking, I'm thinking that you are the chairperson of board member of YMCA. And I'm just thinking, as a woman holding that position, I mean, for sure there are males who would have wanted maybe that position, who applied for that position, but then you were chosen to be the chairperson. How does that make you feel as a woman? And do you think it intimidates, okay, I'm not sure if that's the right question, but do you think it intimidates certain males? Do you think males get intimidated by woman power?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I think so. Being a chairperson of the YMCA, I think I have a passion for development of young people.
Okay.
You know, I think they are our future. You
Yes,
know, and I know
that's
that sounds cliche, but it's literally
it's true.
It's literally
It's true.
the truth. You
Yes.
know, there's no way getting around it. I think being part of the YMCA is addressing the problems that we have. I come from this community.
Yes.
You know, I went to school up the road from here. I played sports in the sports fields here, and to see what's happened to this in this environment is actually saddening. So, I serve on the board with gusto. I think that the team at the YMCA, if you look at yourselves, you're predominantly women. You know, and we go back to look how powerful we are as a team of women. But I think it's that we make an impact silently. People underestimate when you're underestimated,
Yes.
it gives you an advantage because people aren't expecting you.
Yes, that's true.
And then you surprise them because they've underestimated you. And that in itself is powerful.
Yes.
So, are men intimidated by a strong woman? Absolutely. You know, and that's a good thing. But I think we're in a time and in a space now where women have to accept us. I mean, men have to accept us.
Yes.
As much as we need more women to stand up, we need more men to stand with us.
That's true.
You know, we don't need women to fight against GBV.
Yes.
We need more men.
Exactly.
We need more men.
Yes.
We need more men to understand that they've been in a position of privilege for such a long time.
Yes.
We need more men to understand that we also have a place at the table.
Yes.
We need more men to realize that we are as powerful as they are, but in a different way.
Yes.
And that intimidates men.
Yes.
You know. So hopefully I'm teaching my sons to be like that. You know. Hopefully I'm teaching my sons to take women's opinions seriously.
Seriously, yes.
To respect them as they would their friends.
Show up for women.
And to show up for women.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
To stand up for them.
Yes.
When others don't. And even if that standing up is against another woman.
Yeah.
Because my boys come home and tell me horror stories, and I was like, and what did you do? He said, I had to take her home, you know. Just last week, he said, yeah, our friends just left her outside beer yard. You know, and I was like, what? She said, I rode all the way to wherever to take her home. You know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, is that whilst men are intimidated by us, imagine how powerful they would be if they stood with us. And what a change we could make together.
Together, exactly. Because now you're taking me, I told you that I have a bonus question for you. And now you're taking, when you speak about how that men should support us, show up for us, they should stand together with us as women. Now I'm taken to, because I had this question, I know a lot of people have been asking themselves this question. I had a question that said, what do you think South Africa would be like if it was led by a woman?
Amazing!
I mean, I'm sure they want to know. Like, can you please take us through it? Like, just be brave about it. Just tell us, what do you think would have happened? Because a lot of males usually say we are very much sensitive. We take things into emotions.
Yes,
we just cry, you know, and all of that. What do you think South Africa would be like if it was led by a woman?
So for me, two things, lots of things. So
Yes.
imagine that the Department of Agriculture Minister was a woman. You know.
Yes.
So yes, we are emotional, but rightfully so.
Yes.
You know, not having enough food is a big issue for us.
Exactly.
We will drive and not have as much food scarcity, you know.
Yes.
That links into so many things, you know. Having vaccinations for animals to keep us safe, not having food in mouth. So those qualities that we are criticized for are often the leading qualities that you need when making a decision.
Yes.
You know. I think also as women, if we are put in positions of leadership, we will take out the politics out of it, you know. I always say, if you just look at the facts.
Yes.
I run my home like this. What is the evidence? The evidence suggests the following.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If there's no evidence, that means that it's not real.
Yes.
Don't bring it to the table to argue with me.
Exactly.
And like I said, I live in a house with
Yes.
Because if I say, yes, but I would, where's the evidence? You know, I think that's, so even though we're emotional, we still can look at the evidence.
Yes, that's true.
You know, if our children are hungry, they're hungry. There's no two ways about it.
Yes.
You know, this is what's before us. Let us deal with this right now.
Yes, that's true.
And not have a power play. You know, we're not now fighting who's going to be doing it so that we can all look good in it.
Yeah.
No. And I think you could take that in every single kind of aspect in politics in South Africa.
Yes.
If you look at who the decision makers are, the majority of is women. If you look at who drives our economy on the lower levels of society, again, it's women.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So I think we're more powerful than we think we are.
Yes.
And I think if all the old men in government, you know, if we enforce that law, everybody over 65 years old needs to retire. Goodbye. Imagine how different it would look.
Yes, because now they even don't want like young people to get into those positions.
Yes, you know. So, and I think with any organization, it's like that. We're saying that we need to be doing this for the future, and yet we suppress the future constantly. We're trying to tell them what to say and do.
Yes.
You know. So yeah, I think it would look very different. I think if you look at the model, other model countries, you know, there are lots of women on.
Yes.
You know, but we still, in South Africa, we still have to break that glass ceiling.
Yes, we do.
But
definitely.
also, there's a lot of culture in all races.
Yes.
You know, that kind of holds that. And I think we slowly need to break those cultural boundaries by taking on different roles.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I guess it wouldn't. She said it would be amazing if South Africa was led by a woman. I mean, you can drop your comment section. I know you guys have a lot to say about it. I know, especially men will say certain stuff, but then you guys know we also need to be in those positions. We would make a huge difference. Just like you mentioned, it's fine if we're emotional. It's okay, but then still, what we bring into the table is just evidence. We'll just tell you just 1, 2 is happening, so we didn't want to be solved, and then we'll be able to make that change. And the last question is for our listeners. What can our listeners do to support women and also accelerate progress?
Support small business.
Okay.
Volunteer in your community.
Yes.
Take on a girl child if you're older as a under your wing.
Yes.
You know. And I think lots of times we think that we need to have money or we need to have things to support people. But simply buying a girl a pair of shoes.
It's life-changing.
It's life-changing. Getting her own towel, toothbrush, you know, having sanitary pads for girls, just to simply empower them to that they're feeling like they belong, like they're worth something, you know. I think that's important. But I think also if you can support women-owned businesses.
Yes, those small businesses by the road.
The small business by the roadside, the lady that caters, you know.
Yes.
Anything where you see it's women-led, support those things.
Yes.
Any organization that supports youth or children or women in general, be there for them.
Yes.
And I think most importantly is support each other. Fix the lady's crown, you know. Call them out, say thank you.
Yes, that's true.
I think just appreciate them, because even though we are emotional creatures, I think that there is a silent strength there, and we need a hug every now and again. You know,
We do.
just to feel a little bit softer again. You know, so I think sometimes it's not. It could be policy from a government perspective. You know, change more. So we have BEE, BENU, BEEE. We have to increase the numbers. How about increasing those to women as well? You know, there are more unemployed, educated engineers in South Africa than ever. You know, there are educated women here.
Yeah,
you know. So I think policy change could be a big one as well. But now we're talking high level, you know. But I think also giving women what men are paid. You know, I think that's a big thing. There's still so much disparity between what men earn, and what women earn for the same work.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
They're taking us back.
Yeah. Why is that? You know, it doesn't even, whatever the explanation is, doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Because if we educated the same, why would our sex matter? You know, so I think that's also quite important. And I think just give us a chance.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
males have been in a place of dominance, acknowledge that you've been in a space of privilege.
Yes.
Because they have been. And this is not from a feminist perspective, this is from a you and I are the same. You know,
Yes.
we all have emotions, but I think also from a woman's perspective is that we must often not neglect that men are as emotional as we are. They're just better trained to not show it. I think, and I say this because I live with men, I know that hurt you, I can see, you can see it. They're just better trained to hide it. And I think maybe supporting women is men showing their vulnerability.
Yeah.
Brené Brown has a fantastic book about being vulnerable. And how that actually emancipates you. It releases you from all this burden, And I think if we can all just be more vulnerable, show ourselves to each other, what a difference that would make to our society.
It'll make a very big one.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your insights. There's a lot that you said, and I think our listeners at home, whether you're sitting on your couch, you're sitting on your bed, you're sitting wherever, I know that you learned something from this episode. And as a young woman out there, make sure that you empower each other, fix each other's crown, make sure that you goal driven. And I quoted, she said, if they make you feel bad, they are not your friends. So stick with people who inspire you, stick with people who empower you, and stick with people who fix your crown. Make sure. And lastly, what she said that don't burn bridges, because you might need that bridge again. So make sure that whatever decisions that you make are fruitful, are decisions that will have an impact on you, and you also need to make sure that you have great people that are surrounding you, have people who inspire you, who empower you. I mean, I wouldn't have said it better. She said everything. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you so much, Larissa, for taking the opportunity. You stopped doing your things, I'm sure. She's a very busy woman, guys. So I'm sure she canceled some of her stuff just so that she can squeeze us in. So thank you so much for your time, for honoring us and coming to this episode. And guys, please don't forget, subscribe, you comment, you share, and then you tell your friends you like all the episodes. So thank you so much for tuning in. Till we meet again next time.